Hi everyone, it's Andy Zitzmann, founder of the GAMETIME Movement, where I'm on a mission to helping you and 1 million other people step up your game. In this short 3 to 5 minutes every day, I'm going to provide you with inspiration, motivation, and empowering information so that you can wake up, have a little pick-me-up, get fired up so that you step up on a daily basis. So get ready, because it's time, it's your time, it's game time. Hey, what's up everyone? It's Andy Zitzmann and welcome to today's show. Today, I got a dedication to my man, AJ Amex. He's my new business partner. He's my friend, and the guy is just, he's a rock star when it comes to helping people launch their business and their dreams. But AJ is also this very spiritual man, and he's very deep, and he's just a great person. And so, AJ was boarding a plane earlier today, and, I called him and I was talking to him. I said, hey man, give me a quote. What's your favorite quote? And, I can't recall exactly the quote, but what it did was it sparked a memory for me, something that I got to share with you guys. So AJ said this. He said, something to the tune of, if you can see it within them, then it's in you. If you can see it within them, then it's in you. And what that reminded me of is another quote that I use all the time, which is, if you spot it, you got it. If you spot it, you got it. And a game that I used to play when I first started doing some personal development, it was the company that I worked with in Boston, and we used to play this game called Just Like Me. And so if you're watching, you can see I'm pointing a finger right now, right? And you can see that as you point a finger at someone, do this, you can take your hand, point a finger at someone, and then look at how many fingers are pointing back at you. That's right. So if you spot it, if you can see it in someone else, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you, which means it's in you too. And so we used to say things like, I can't stand people that are greedy and arrogant and conceited, just like me, and have the fingers pointing back at me. And then we'd go into the positive and say, I love people that are caring and sensitive and giving, just like me. And so there's 3 fingers pointing back. And so I want to share this with you today because it's so important, right? To realize that if you can see it within them, then it's in you. And if you spot it, you got it. The good or the bad. We are made up of all these parts. We like to look outside of ourselves and at other people and say, oh, they're judgmental and greedy. And so, I don't want to be like them. Well, guess what? You are like them. You have those parts. It's not a big deal, but it's good to be honest with yourself. It's like, hey, have some self-honesty. Realize that you got those parts too. You can't recognize greed if you aren't greedy yourself. You can't recognize, anger if you're not angry yourself. You can't recognize selfishness if you aren't selfish yourself. But that's okay. You got those parts. And you can't recognize love if you don't have love yourself. You can't recognize greatness if you yourself don't have greatness inside of you. You can't recognize confidence and self-esteem if you yourself don't have a high self-esteem and don't have confidence. The question is, or the reality is that we have all these parts. It makes up all of us. So that's okay. We have good and we have bad, right? And if you look at it, we are made up of all of these parts. And here's the deal. These parts are just laying inside of us. Sometimes, most of the time, just laying there dormant, quiet. And we think that because we see it in someone else that it's not inside of us. We think that we want to be like that other person, when in reality, you are like that other person, good or bad. And so if you spot it in someone else, then you got it. And here's the key. Here's the key. We talked yesterday about creating yourself. Well, here's the key. That part is just waiting to be unleashed. Those parts inside of you are just waiting to be unleashed. So the question you got to ask yourself is, which parts are you going to focus on? Which parts are you going to unleash into this world, inside of you, and bring to this world? Because I'll tell you this, in my 20s, I unleashed a ton of bad parts inside of me. I allowed greed, I allowed, ego, I allowed fear, I allowed all these things to be unleashed inside of me. And then I put it out into the outside world. And the next thing you know, I lost my way. I was a drug addict and I was in rehab. And once I learned this though, once I learned that if I can spot it in someone else, then it's also in me. I realized I had all these other parts. They were just laying dormant, quiet. They were in me. And I chose to now focus on the good parts. Yeah. And so here we are, right? We're having this conversation. You can do that too. It just depends on what you want to focus on. Hey man, if you did some bad things in the past, forgive yourself. It's time to move on. Make your amends, move on, pick yourself up. Let's go. Let's focus on those good parts. And if you're focusing on parts that are in other people, just remind yourself, if you can see it within them, it's in you too. And it's time. You know it's your time. You know it's your time to focus on the parts that are going to make you a champion. They are in you. Unleash those parts today. It's game time. Hey, thanks for tuning in today, and thanks for stepping up your game. Here's what you can do to spread the movement. Go to GAMETIMEMovement.com and be sure to share your Game Time Moment of the day, your GMOTD, so that others will feel compelled to share their Game Time moments too. And if you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, and please be so kind to leave a rating and review so that we can reach 1 million people and encourage them to step up their game too. This is Andy Zitzmann reminding you it's your time, it's game time. Till next time.